Hey pros, Crystal here from Crystal W Online and Elite Total Body Care. Today I made some teriyaki chicken with pineapples, a little bit of steamed cabbage and corn, and of course the star was our moon spice dry rub. Want to see how I made it? Stay tuned. Listen! For our ingredients today, I'm using some cut up boneless and skinless chicken thighs. For our dry spices, I'm going to be using our moon spice dry rub, some black pepper, a little bit of cayenne pepper, and some onion seasoning. For our wet sauces, I'm using some soy sauce, which is dark soy sauce, orange sauce from Panda Express, and mandarin teriyaki sauce from Panda Express, as well as some green seasoning, corn, cabbage, olive oil. And then for our aromatics, we'll be using garlic, ginger, onion, red pepper, red bell pepper, and yellow bell pepper. You can also add green bell pepper and orange bell peppers should you choose. So my chicken is already thoroughly cleaned. I use a little bit of vinegar and water. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in our spices, which is that moon spice dry rub, onion powder, cayenne pepper, and of course, black pepper. I did put gloves on. I just don't like meat touching my hands, but at some point you'll see that I had no choice because I actually missed a chicken thigh. These are boneless and skinless chicken thighs, you guys. I didn't cut off a lot of the fat either because I wanted to keep the chicken nice and moist. And then to add a little bit of salt to the dish, I use some dark soy sauce. So I'm not adding any additional salts to the food. Here is where I actually found the little chicken thigh that was still hanging around. So I'm just gonna grab my kitchen shears and just go ahead and cut that piece up. And basically I just cut the chicken thighs into squares or cubes. And that is how I like to make my teriyaki chicken. Now you can also grill your chicken or you can bake it. It's so many different ways that you can make teriyaki chicken. I just chose to make it on the stove. I also, after adding in my dry seasonings and my soy sauce, I did add a little bit of the chopped garlic that I had already pre-chopped and a piece of ginger that I had smashed. Now with the garlic, you have about 2 tablespoons of garlic. You can use more should you choose. And then I had about, I'd say 2 tablespoons of ginger. Let's talk about the dry seasonings. I did 2 tablespoons of the dry moon spice, which is the dry rub, 1 tablespoon onion powder, 1 tablespoon black pepper, and 1 tablespoon cayenne pepper. Now the dish was not spicy, but feel free to pull back on the cayenne pepper should you choose. Now I'm using my trusty wok here. This is a stainless steel or galvanized steel wok, I think it is. You can actually get this on Amazon for about $30. It's nice and heavy, and I love this wok. I use this to fry, and I also use it to do like my stir fries, that kind of thing. So a link to my Amazon store will be in the description box where you'll be able to get the wok. So I put the remainder of my garlic into my pan in regards to just a little bit of olive oil. For the olive oil was about 2.5 tablespoons to 3 tablespoons of olive oil because we are going to be cooking a lot of chicken thighs. And then I threw in my ginger. This is going to help fragrance your oil. Okay, so we are building flavor, you guys. And then what I did was just spoon in my chicken thighs into my pan. So remember, we also have ginger and garlic in the chicken thighs. So this dish is going to have a lot of flavor, okay? Try to adapt using a lot of aromatics to add flavor to your food. So after adding my chicken to the pan, I just use a metal spoon to stir it around. You're welcome to use a wooden spoon. I wouldn't use plastic only because you are frying, but I like to use metal spoons for something like this. And then I allowed my chicken to just kind of saute in the pan, continuously checking on it and stirring it until all of the meat was cooked. Now this wok does not have a top. It doesn't come with a cover because technically it's not supposed to be covered. So I just used another cover that I had for a different wok that I have in the cabinet to cover my chicken so that I could get the chicken to cook internally and to also keep the meat nice and moist. You don't want the meat to be fried per se, so you don't want it to have like a crust on it. Should you choose to add a crust to it, that's your choice. Me personally, I just want my chicken to be nice and moist and soft. So that's the reason why I use the pot cover to cover it, and also to bring out some of the liquids in the chicken so that it was, basically leaving a lot of its juices behind. And I'm going to be using those juices to saute my aromatics. So once the chicken is fully cooked, I scraped it out and put it into the bowl that I actually took it from. Now, I know you guys are like, oh, that's cross-contamination. Well, the chicken is not finished yet, you guys. It's going to actually go back in the pan, and we're going to marry the two together, so it will get a chance to finish cooking before we actually serve it. So the reason why I took the chicken out of the pan is because I wanted to get some of that sauce that was left behind, and I'm going to actually utilize that sauce to saute my vegetables, which is the bell peppers, the onions, all of that good stuff, and get those kind of al dente and ready for my chicken and my other sauces. Okay, so we, like I said, are building flavors. You're not wasting anything. The good thing is chicken teriyaki is super easy to make it in one pan, so that's the easy part of this. Now, the aromatics, you can use as little or as much as you want. That is the good thing with chicken teriyaki. It is something where you are able to add a ton of aromatics. Now, I also forgot to mention that I did have about a cup of chopped pineapples, which is fresh chopped pineapples. That just adds that acidity to the actual meal. And teriyaki and pineapples just go hand in hand, you guys. So I really liked it. I think that it just adds a lot of flavor and adds a lot more juice to the meat, to the recipe. And then I did add about a half a cup of water to this to help deglaze the pan for all of those different seasonings that were around, if you guys can see them on the sides and on the bottom. So I'm using that sauce that I basically am deglazing to also help to steam or pre-cook some of my veggies. I did not add the pineapples until towards the end because pineapples are super delicate, and I wanted to just enhance the flavor, but I didn't want it to be overwhelming with the pineapples. Also, adding that little bit of water is not going to hurt the dish because remember, teriyaki sauce and orange sauce and all these things, some of them can be kind of sweet. So you just want to be careful and be mindful that you are also trying to watch the sweetness of this dish. Okay? So what I did now is I added about, I'd say 3/4, not even 3/4, it was a half a cup of the teriyaki sauce, which is from Panda Express. You can use whatever company you choose. And then I did the same thing with the orange sauce, where I did add about 3 tablespoons of the orange sauce. I didn't want it to be overwhelming to my pot, and this is going to be my sauce for this dish. Okay, so I'm not adding any more sauce because remember, the chicken is moist, and once you add the chicken back in, it is going to create more moisture, more water, more whatever you want to call it to this dish. So you can do as little or as much of the sauces as you choose, but be mindful. Sweetness is a big thing. Now, if it's a little too sweet and you need to kind of cut it with some acidity, you can add a tablespoon or 2 of apple cider vinegar, and that will help to cut some of that sweetness as well. Now, I didn't season anything else with this dish because I did season my chicken really, really well. So my chicken, along with that moon spice dry rub, all of that good stuff is going to help build flavor in this dish. So you don't have to add any more seasonings to it, but you can definitely test it to see if you need to add any salt or pepper for your liking. Once I married everything together, I went ahead and allowed it to saute for about 5 to 10 more minutes with the pot covered, and then it was ready to go. Like, you guys, the only thing missing is to add like either some green onions or even some green bell peppers to really give some contrast in color. Remember, colorful veggies always work great. But I didn't add any greenery to today's dish. I didn't have any. But going forward, definitely add some greenery to this dish and you will see how much it just pops out even more. Okay? And then I took a little tip of browning because teriyaki to me should be darker in color. That's just my choice. And the browning does not change the flavor. It was about a teaspoon of browning. That is just to add that caramel color to it for the look and not necessarily the taste, okay? But you can skip the browning if you choose to. That's just something that you add on. You can also add sesame seeds to this dish, and if you like the taste of sesame oil, you can even do about a teaspoon of sesame oil to enhance the flavor in the dish as well. So once I got done, I had steamed my cabbage and I went ahead and put my plate together. This is the finished dish, you guys. Our chicken teriyaki with pineapples, along with some steamed cabbage and corn. When I tell you this dish was a big hit in my home, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know in the comments if you try it yourself.